Have you ever felt the overwhelming urge to win an argument with someone who simply refuses to listen? We often think our words are our sharpest weapons, but what if I told you that your silence is actually your greatest power? Arthur Schopenhauer, the philosopher of pessimism, understood something most of us ignore. He believed that engaging with a fool is a form of self-sabotage that drains your spirit. Today, we're diving into the art of saying absolutely nothing when the world expects a reaction. Welcome back to our journey through the minds of history's greatest thinkers. In this video, we are exploring Schopenhauer's specific guide to navigating a world filled with noise, ego, and nonsense. You will learn why protecting your peace is more important than being right in a meaningless debate. Get ready to transform your social interactions by mastering the profound strength of strategic quietude. Let's look at how one of history's most misunderstood geniuses can help you find your calm. Schopenhauer observed that most people aren't seeking truth, they are seeking validation for their own fragile egos. When you encounter what he termed a fool, you aren't fighting a set of logic or facts, but a thick wall of vanity. Trying to penetrate that wall with reason is like trying to draw water from a stone. It is a futile effort that leaves you exhausted, while the other person remains completely unchanged. Recognizing this vanity is the first step towards choosing silence over conflict. Every time you engage in a petty argument, you are essentially leaking precious mental energy that could be used for your own growth. Think of your mind as a reservoir of power that should be guarded at all costs. When you let someone bait you into a response, you are handing them the keys to your emotional state. They thrive on the reaction and the friction they create in your life. By refusing to speak, you keep your energy contained safely within yourself.
Silence is not just an absence of sound. It is a mirror that reflects the other person's behavior back at them. When someone attacks you with nonsense and you remain silent, they are forced to stand in the vacuum of their own words. Without your resistance to lean against, their arguments often crumble under their own weight. They expect a fight, but instead they find a void that makes them feel their own inadequacy. Your quietude becomes the most uncomfortable response they could ever receive.
Schopenhauer famously said that a man can be himself only so long as he is alone. This doesn't mean you must live in isolation, but rather that you must cherish your internal world. When you speak to those who do not value wisdom, you are diluting your own character. You are bringing yourself down to a level where logic no longer applies. Maintaining silence is a way of staying true to your own intellectual and emotional standards. It is an act of self-respect. To the fool, your silence might look like a defeat, but to the wise, it is the ultimate victory. You have won because you have refused to participate in a game that has no prize. By staying silent, you retain the high ground and keep your dignity intact. You realize that you don't owe everyone an explanation or a piece of your mind. There is a certain majesty in being the only person in the room who doesn't feel the need to prove themselves. This is the mark of true confidence. Consider the amount of time we waste worrying about what people think of our lack of response. Schopenhauer reminds us that the opinions of others are often shallow and fleeting. If someone thinks you are weak because you don't shout back, their judgment is flawed anyway. Why would you value the opinion of someone whose logic you don't respect? Once you stop caring about the fool's perception, you become truly free. Silence is the gatekeeper to that personal freedom. In the heat of a moment, silence allows you to observe rather than react. When you are quiet, you see the patterns of behavior and the insecurities driving the other person. You begin to see their outbursts not as threats, but as symptoms of their own inner turmoil. This shift in perspective turns your frustration into a form of detached compassion. You are no longer a participant in the drama, but a spectator of the human condition. Observation is your shield against the chaos of others. Schopenhauer believed that most social interactions are just an exchange of trivialities. If you don't have something meaningful to contribute, or if the audience isn't ready to hear it, silence is the only logical choice. We live in a culture that fears dead air, but there is deep intelligence in the pause. Taking a breath before speaking, or not speaking at all, demonstrates a high level of self-control. It shows that you are the master of your impulses, not a slave to them. Silence is discipline in action. Think of the most powerful figures in history and literature. They are often the ones who speak the least. They don't need to bark to show they are the leaders. Their presence alone carries weight because their words, when they do choose to use them, have immense value. By speaking less, you increase the worth of every word you eventually utter. You become a person of mystery and depth rather than someone who is easily read and dismissed. Let your silence build your gravity.
It's important to distinguish between cowardly silence and strategic silence. Cowardly silence comes from fear, but Schopenhauer's silence comes from a place of strength and choice. You aren't staying quiet because you are afraid to speak up. You are staying quiet because you know speaking won't change anything. It is a calculated decision to save your breath for those who deserve it. This distinction is what turns a passive trait into an active power. Choose your battles with the wisdom of a general.
Schopenhauer also warns us that people will try to use your silence against you. They may call you cold, arrogant, or stuck up. Do not let these labels bother you. These are just the labels people use when they can no longer control or manipulate you. When you stop reacting, they lose their power, and their only remaining weapon is name-calling. Smile inwardly, knowing that their labels are actually a sign that your silence is working perfectly. You have become unreachable to their negativity.
The world is louder than it has ever been, with social media and constant connectivity demanding our opinions. Schopenhauer's advice is more relevant now than in the 19th century. We are pressured to have a take on everything, but there is power in having no opinion at all. By opting out of the noise, you find a sanctuary of thought that others are desperately missing. You don't need to participate in every digital firestorm. Your peace of mind is worth more than a like or a retweet.
Practice makes perfect. The next time someone says something provocative or foolish, count to 10 and stay silent. Watch their reaction. You will likely see them become confused, then perhaps slightly intimidated, and finally, they may just move on. In that moment, you will feel a surge of internal strength. You didn't give in. You didn't lower yourself. You maintained your composure and your dignity. That small victory is a building block for a more resilient and peaceful version of yourself. Schopenhauer taught that our inner life is the only thing we truly possess. Why would we let a fool enter that sacred space and mess it up? Your mind is your kingdom, and silence is the moat that keeps the invaders out. When you master your tongue, you master your life. You stop being a reactive creature and start being a proactive force. You begin to navigate the world with a sense of purpose that isn't easily shaken by the winds of others' opinions. As we conclude, remember that mastering silence isn't about being antisocial. It's about being selective. It's about recognizing that your words are valuable and should be spent wisely. Schopenhauer's guide is a reminder that you don't have to win every argument to win at life. In fact, the greatest win is often the one where you walk away with your peace intact and your spirit undisturbed. Silence is the ultimate luxury in a world that never stops talking.
Take these lessons with you into your week. Notice where you can apply the power of silence and observe how it changes your perspective. You have the power to stay centered, no matter how much noise is around you. If you found value in this look at Schopenhauer's wisdom, consider how you can apply one small piece of it today. Your journey toward inner mastery is a marathon, not a sprint. Thank you for spending this time in reflection with us. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates.